We do have time for a few questions that you've submitted through the app. Those will be read for Debbie to respond to.
Can you tell us a little bit more about how you manage the Kumon experience at home with Ethan?
Yes, that's interesting that you say this. I have a theory that you do the most important thing in the morning and that anything after that you get done is gravy. And so every day I look for what the most important thing is and I make sure I get that thing done first. And that is what we did with the Kumon. And very quickly, I made it, you had to do the 20 minutes, and he didn't have to do more than 20 minutes, but he had to do 20 minutes before school. Actually, I made him do it 7 days a week, even when we were on vacation. And he had to do 20 minutes a day, first thing in the morning. And, you know, it sort of took away the fight. You know, we weren't arguing because it was like brushing your teeth. Like, there was no discussion of it. It just was. You know, you just do it. And so I'm going to say that that was the secret. And if I even consider letting it get to later in the day, it was just a non-negotiable rule. 20 minutes in the morning, period, no arguing, no talking. And it's interesting because I also did that with video games when he was younger. I made a rule in like first grade when he got his first video game that you could only do it on the weekends. And I kept that rule until he graduated from high school, and I don't think he ever plays on the weekdays still. And it was just this rule that stuck, and I was unwavering, and I did that for the Kumon, and I do think that you have to build the habit. And so it takes out the argument of it, you know? If it's just, it is what it is.
Looking back on your Kumon experience, what would you have done differently? What could have gone better?
Well, I mean, start with, I definitely should have had them there much, much, much younger. But when I brought them there, I should have had the insight that I had already lost their attention and that I needed to relationship build before I was gonna, I mean, we came to like this in Kumon. I should have realized that, you know, the roots of our relationship were not deep enough for me to pull that. And, you know, you can sort of feel underneath the ground if the roots, like, can you pull a no and they're gonna listen to you? And I didn't realize at that time that no, they were not gonna listen to me. Later, after I'd, you know, cultivated our relationship and I worked hard and all those TV shows, you know, that was money in the bank as far as our relationship went. You know, I could, underneath the ground, it's not visible, but I could tug a little bit. So if I'd had that insight, I would have waited until we had that before trying to get them to do something that they didn't want to do.
Do you remember what level Ethan started in Kumon and where he finished?
I think he finished J or K, and I don't remember what he started, E or F. I don't remember. Whatever it was, he was embarrassed where he started, and he felt pretty good about where he ended.
Nice. We have time for one more question.
If you could do it over again from when your children were very young, what would you have done differently so that your children were more self-motivated?
Oh, well, I would have, you know, as I said, I would have brought them in there earlier, and I would have done, you know, I guess here it is. I would have prioritized the relationship much more, and I was always distracted by work. You know, I'm a single mom. I felt a lot of pressure about career to be successful, and even when I was with my kids, I was often, my head was elsewhere, and kids feel that, and you know, I think there should have been a lot more, you know, dropping work and focusing on them and prioritizing them over the work, and you know, putting all the work away and out of my head and just focusing and having shared experiences, and that should have risen up to the top. You know, I had that epiphany then, and that's really late. I mean, the good news is it's all correctable. Kids want to go back in line. My kids fell in line so quickly. I've seen really tough kids get back in line really quickly. But if I had it to do over again, I think things would have been very different if I'd had that insight much earlier.
Thank you, Debbie. I absolutely loved your book.
Thank you.
Hearing you today, though, hearing you in person has truly been amazing. We really appreciate you sharing all of your insight and all of your experience with us.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, we'll be taking a break until 10:45. The expo is open. There are refreshments available outside of the meeting rooms.
Don't forget to tip your waiter.